Hi folks, this is all the fruit. Today I want to explore a lot of exotic and subtropical fruits and other plants on the Riviera of the Lago Maggiore, and especially I want to visit the Swiss avocado groves. Yes, there are avocado groves in Switzerland in the Alps mountains. They even have their own variety which got developed by accident on the shores of Lago Maggiore. But for now I am, I wouldn't say in the wrong country. Italy is never the wrong country. I'm in another country at Oso on the other side of Lago Maggiore. So first I'm crossing over to the west side, which is an east coast. Yeah, I know it's confusing, and which has the majority of the interesting villas and plant collections. And then I plan to take a bus into Switzerland to look for the avocados, and of course on the way I hope to find a lot of interesting trees, plants and fruits. And then in the afternoon I'll go back to the beautiful town of Luino for the local farmers market and for visiting another stunning private plant collection. First stop is Canero Riviera, where in the 17th century a lemon citron hybrid was developed, the Cedrato Canarone. It is smaller and less productive than lemons and citrons of southern areas like the Mediterranean or Florida or China, but it is adapted to the quite cold climate of the alpine lakes. Well, and I really hope that they have planted a couple in a nice conspicuous location, preferably with a big, easy to read label. Along the seashore we can already see the pretty fancy mansions with those terraced gardens at the seashore. The lake, at the lake shore. The lake protects the gardens like an air conditioner, cooling the air down in summer and heating it up in winter, and the hills in the background protect from the prevalent westerly winds. Of course here they don't have direct protection from the cold easterly winds, but the foothills of the Alps on the other side serve as such a protection. And I can already see, Canary Island date palms, bougainvillea, Himalaya palms, and a lot of stuff which could be citrus. However, we are not in the citrus season, so the telltale golden fruits for now are nowhere to be seen. This town seems to be very fond of the evergreen Magnolia grandiflora, and as you can see, the grand flowers of the magnolias are blooming right now. A bunch of bananas up there next to this mansion. Oh, we have to get out. And unfortunately 99% of all bananas around the lakes are the boring Basio or Japanese fiber bananas. However, there are a couple really unique collections around here with dozens of banana species and varieties. See all those masses of people going to Luino, where I just come from. I was already on the ship when they told me there is the farmers market in Luino. What a pity. Imagine all the things I could have found there, including the local citron. Now I have to get it from somewhere else. All those people, they are more clever than me. They are going where the fruits are. I'm leaving from where the fruits are. A lot of citruses in pots around here. However, most have no fruits. This is some sort of small roundish lemon, kumquats, and so on. and I cannot spot the local citron lemon hybrid around here. The steep and narrow streets are often not suitable for cars, but those people, they have their solutions. Let's sneak along the port, the old port. Well, those were mostly fishing villages in the past, and there are still a lot of fishermen because the tourists, they want the expensive alpine trout. Also, figs have turned feral everywhere along the lakes. That's good because they're tasty. And look at that! Capers are growing here in the walls of the old port. Capers, the Mediterranean spice, is growing here in the Alps. You take those buds and you pickle them and you get this super spicy, super tasty Mediterranean spice. I wonder, well, oh, hi ducklings, how are you, cuties? Yeah, probably this was planted here in the garden, or maybe it was even inserted into the wall, or maybe it already turned feral, who knows. A couple more there, very interesting. I'm 99% sure those are not native to the Alps mountains, but of course they are native to large parts of Italy. Crazy. Here the beautiful flowers of the capers. That's one of the biggest downsides. If you collect the buds, you don't get to enjoy the flowers, but there is a secret about it. Oh, hi duckies. You're out on the lake already. If you leave the flowers, you can pickle the fruits. They are just as good as the buds. They are just not being pickled that often. The defense of the port is being well thought out. Any enemy approaching it will see this beautiful old cannon and will pee their pants. However, one thing you shouldn't do with this, and this is shooting anything. The snacks on the sea are being diligently collected, and often I see them piled up in pyramid shapes. Not so much here, but here they have also piled them up tidily. I guess there is no easier way to get firewood around here than having it floating into your town on itself. And of course you also clean up all the obstacles for your boats. Okay, the duckies are getting fat. Nice. Yeah, going through the little crooked steep lanes of the village where only pedestrians and the tiny tanks can pass, searching for the local citron, for the ancient citron hybrid. Here is the firewood. Well, winter's coming. Might be July and 30 degrees, but winter's coming. This is some citrus right next to a couple Himalaya palms. But which citrus? Kiwis. Italy is the second biggest producer in the world after China, and China is where they come from. Also, I love those walls with the ferns. Of course, July is not citrus season. Citrus season in the Mediterranean is winter. I find a surprising amount of citrus fruits even now in midsummer, but yeah, kumquats, one of the hardiest citruses, grow very well here. I mean, it's good that citrus season in the Mediterranean is in winter, because from late spring to late autumn there is a plethora of other fruits, but in winter there is not much. Look at the size of this kumquat tree. Grapefruits, the old generation just perfectly ripe. The new fruits, you can see them small and green among the big ripe fruits. More caper bushes on those not so easily accessible walls. I wonder how they spread. Do people stick a piece of the twig into cracks in the walls, or do those things actually produce fruits and the seeds are being spread by birds or other animals? How do they spread here in the foothills of the Alps? The Italians are also great hazelnut cultivators. After all, they invented Nutella when they got sanctioned in World War II and had to replace chocolate. Also here, laurel cherry. Western people think they are poisonous, but in the Caucasus they are being eaten, but only the perfectly ripe ones. Rather like it astringent, but not bad. Somebody has cut the palms. Pity they are so high. This would be the perfect opportunity for me to eat a couple of hearts of palms, because I don't need to cut so much, or I have to get up there. They already cut, nobody can blame me. Yeah, Himalayan palms have turned feral here in the valleys of the Alps. They are taking over the whole forests near the lakes where the mild climate is. Here you see a whole agricultural terrace being taken over by them. Oh, here are the men at work, removing all the growth from the walls, piling it high on the little caterpillar tank. And also this terrace is accessible, so I'm gonna do a bit of my own removal now. Big hearts of palms which I can harvest, but it's not so easy. Blue passion flower, Passiflora caerulea. Was it planted here or did it turn feral? It is feral in parts of Italy. Not sure if even along the lakes. Harvesting the hearts of those palms, stuffing my face with a tasty vegetable. Some of them were bitter, but I think this is due to stress or other things, but some are pretty tasty. Good stuff. Now, the Swiss and Italians know what to do. Eat those millions of invasive weeds. Each one will provide you with a big, tasty chunk of vegetable. The tank is coming back with its loot. Going slow on its caterpillars, but yeah, it's the most, well, in the 20th century they had the Ape. Tiny trucks. They look like toy trucks. Basically, 4 strong men can carry one of them away. But they would go up and down those ramps and staircases and other things. Now the Ape is unfortunately almost gone, but they're being replaced by those little tanks. Those little tanks, yeah. In those villages without roads made for cars, back then the roads were made for donkeys. Yeah, in those villages it's a perfect transport. Let's see what else we can forage here. No, this is Philadelphus. And the dead core with Philadelphus. Unfortunately, as far as I know, it's not edible. Here a nice big camphor tree. They have a couple really big ancient ones. Well, not so ancient, they grow very fast, but they have a couple trees here which are what? 6 to 8 meters in circumference. This one is not one of the most ancient ones, but it will have over 4 meters in circumference. Incredibly invasive, just like the Himalaya palm. Also be careful with bamboo, folks. This is also incredibly invasive, and this is giant bamboo. Very competitive against native vegetation. Here we have some citrus, and in the background the bananas. 99% sure this is Musabazio. A lot more bananas, more laurel cherries. I'm sure I'm gonna get cancelled on YouTube if I say that they are edible. I'm just saying, make up your mind. Western literature says they are toxic, but the people where those things come from have been eating them in huge amounts for thousands of years. I also eat them, but only the totally ripe ones. Make up your mind for yourself. Would I choose those over normal cherries? No. Would I eat them if there is no other fruit around? Munch, munch, munch. Bananas. Bananas. The toxic invasive pokeweed, still being eaten by many people in different ways. But it's like the fugu of the plant world. If you don't know exactly how to detoxify and eat it, you die. Bananas. 6 kilometers near the next town, and they have a full schedule. So let's try a bit of light hitchhiking here. I thought the second car would already stop, but nope. Oh well, even if nobody stops, look at those gardens. Huh. This is probably Citrus aurantium, but it could also be the local lemon citron hybrid. Who knows? Oh, and back then this guy has a couple trees of orange cherry. Quite a rare collector's item. I think it's Idesia polycarpa or something like this. The Germans call it Orangenkirsche or orange cherry. Well, it's an orange fruit of cherry size. And yeah, and he has a couple big trees and 2 of them are fruiting. Unfortunately, the taste of this thing is not too great. Unlike the taste of those little kumquati cuties. And here, one last grapefruit. Of course, you don't get alpine. You don't get citrus from the Alps at normal supermarkets. I think I would get them at the local markets, but the production, of course, is very low. Also, a lot of those people who have those gardens are rich people who have a ton of money but not enough time. So just picking and selling them for whatever price. A lot of them rather let them rot. But from time to time you get lucky and get a fruit or 5. Olives, yes, the valleys of the Alps still have in the 21st century a commercial olive production. But again, very small scale, very expensive. Not so easy to get if you are not around here. I don't actually know if Lago Maggiore has designated olive growing areas because the climate here is a bit on the wettish and coolish side. Lago di Como has more, and Lago di Garda in the east has a lot more. Even far north of Lago di Garda in the valleys of the Alps there are olive who cares about olive producing areas? Look at the thousands of kumquats over there. I want those. Give me the kumquats. This was probably a poor farmer's or laborer's cottage, now costing well into the millions. And it is for sale together with the kumquats and with their very own triptychon here. Guys, can somebody quickly donate a couple millions to me? I don't care if euros or dollars. Just don't come with a couple million Indonesian rupiah. It would be a funny joke, but I would not appreciate it. Bananas. Man, this is getting boring. Especially since those are all the non-edible Japanese fiber banana Musa Basio. And after I saw Luca's collection with 20-25 different bananas, many of them edible, many of them growing or attempting to grow outside in the ground. This for me is, yeah, it looks nice, but it just looks nice. Here you can see it's definitely Basio. Yellow buds, a bunch of really tiny fruits. So I'll stop showing you all those bananas here because, yeah, if I find some other banana, yes, but for Basio, this guy might have hundreds of them, but with all his money, why didn't he get edible bananas? Bunch of strawberry trees, another Mediterranean fruit tree / ornamental / important part of the evergreen Mediterranean forest introduced here. The fruits are quite okay. Most people don't like them, but I kinda like them. Lemons. There was actually a commercial lemon production here on the lakes, even since the Middle Ages, since medieval times, mostly on Lago di Garda, but also on the western lakes. They would grow citruses and transport them with horse and mule caravans over the Alps and fetch prime prices from the kings and lords of the north, because they were much closer to the Nordic countries, well, to the Central and East European countries than Mediterranean citrus growing areas. So even though they produced very small amounts here in the Alps, with a lot of effort inside wooden greenhouses, it was still, this stuff was worth its weight, maybe not in gold, but at least in silver. The Castelli di Canerone. Imagine having not one but two private islands. They are restoring them. Probably somebody bought them. For those, a couple millions will not help you. Maybe even any amount of money will not help you. You need money and connections, because even if you give somebody a couple 100 million, those islands are an asset. There must be more than money for you to obtain those. And I don't know what this giant tree up there is, but it sure looks majestic. There is another even bigger one over there of a different species. Too far to recognize the species. Of course, like everywhere in Italy and the Mediterranean, grapes are being grown here along Lago Maggiore on a very small scale. But I bet you cannot afford the local wines. Fortunately, those acacias here, is it Acacia de Albata or what, turning feral? I've seen them overgrowing huge areas in southern Portugal. Nobody can stop them there, and even here in the Alps, they are turning feral, overgrowing the cliffs. This is really concerning, but yes, those areas, because of the mild climate and because of those countless mansions with exotics, they are totally being overrun by exotic stuff. They think in a couple decades the forests in the mildest areas along the lakes will be completely dominated by camphor tree and palms. So many kumquats! Laurel trees, another important tree. Oh, and here, by the way, some feral plum. But laurel trees, another important tree of the evergreen Mediterranean forests. They have also become naturalized here and displacing the native forest. And here's something which is not evergreen, the kiri tree or Paulovnia, the fastest growing tree in the world. It has very soft, very light wood. You would say very low quality wood, but sometimes you want very soft, very light wood. Unfortunately, incredibly invasive, even in Germany. Pomegranates currently in flower, plums currently fruiting, and apricots. The season is over for almost all varieties. Mulberries, a nice fruit tree, but also invasive here. Hackberry, another nice fruit tree, also invasive here. Cherries, another nice fruit tree, also invasive here. Some sort of sorbus, most of them are nice fruit trees, also invasive here. Chestnuts, a wonderful nut tree, also invasive here. Hazelnuts, they are native to the area, but so many cultivars are being grown around here that the local gene pool is of course completely messed up already. And the delicious figs, also invasive around here. Platanos, not sure if orientalis or the hybrid, also invasive here. And yeah, same with the cottonwoods. Not sure if this is Populus nigra or some hybrid with an American species. Also growing everywhere here, so probably invasive. And see all the invasive bamboo up there? There is not even a garden around. Where does this stuff come from? This is quite a big fruited hackberry. Those might be nice once they get ripe. You know the kudzu vine? In the US they call this the plant that ate the South, because it covered large parts of the old South in those vines, and also in Asia and other parts of the world it's invasive. Well, here in the mild foothills of the Alps around Lago Maggiore, unfortunately, it's doing quite well. It seems to be edible, but I haven't done research on it. Maybe I should do this as long as I'm here and harvest a couple. Black nightshade, another one of those plants where the West says they are toxic, but billions of people have eaten them for thousands of years. Here the lotus plum, a tasty edible relative of the kaki plum, is becoming invasive. I also see it spreading in gardens in Germany, but I haven't seen it making the jump to the forest there. Here, of course, because mild climate and a lot older gardens, everything usually happened decades earlier. So basically, if you observe those lakes, you know what German gardens and German invasive vegetation gonna look like in a couple decades. A couple nice guys gave me a lift all the way to Ascona, where there is a mature avocado grove growing on the shores of Lago Maggiore. Look at that, some of the trees are up to 8 meters high, maybe even higher, and they are hanging full of young fruits. This is gonna be a good harvest. I was told that the avocados are of different varieties, several different varieties. It's just mind-blowing. Avocados here at the same geographical latitude as southern Canada in the Alps mountains. Basically here in autumn you can eat avocados, then drive for an hour and go skiing. Maybe 1 or 2 hours. I don't know how long it takes you to go to the skiing resorts. But this just blew my mind. This is Switzerland, folks. This is not Hawaii. So now I'm walking back south along the western shore of Lago Maggiore. Before that I was over there in Italy on the same shore walking north. Now I'm walking south. Here Quercus ceris, sub-Mediterranean oak from southeastern Europe. Easily recognizable by the hairy caps of the fruits. They're still quite small, but yeah, it's July. In autumn, Quercus ceris has particularly big acorns. And the natural plant communities here are very diverse. On the nearby Lake Garda, the biggest of the alpine lakes, there is Monte Baldo, one of the most endemic rich spots in all of Europe, a hotspot of biodiversity of worldwide importance. Probably one of the major glacial refugia in Europe. There are still dozens of species which after the Ice Age never made it away from Monte Baldo, from the mildest areas in Monte Baldo. So the natural vegetation around here is just mind-blowing, but it's being replaced by an exotic mind-blowing vegetation. Here again the invasive acacia and some invasive vines here. I think the vines might be here the creeping fig. I think the creeping fig, and also some loniceras and other things have crept up here and invaded the nearby cliffs. Oh, and somebody wants to park here. Of course, very typical for the Italian mountains, waterfalls and lifts. And of course Switzerland also has bananas. Well, it seems the trail goes only to Arancio Beach, or the Orange Beach, the beach of oranges. Yes, they grow oranges here, but it seems to be a nice... Oh, okay, all this is private. Okay, so I have to sit here on the pier. It seems to be a nice picnic spot with some prickly pears growing here profusely. Seems to be some sort of hiking trail. Good, good. Here a nice kaki tree. Yeah, here the invasive cacti are invading the local vegetation. Where are they coming from? There must be a garden up there. Or that may be a bird bring up some seeds. A lot of those cacti here do not really produce viable seeds, but they easily propagate from cladodes which just fall to the ground and take root somewhere else. Some of those places here don't seem to be able to decide whether they want to be cozy Mediterranean coastal towns or remote alpine mountain villages. However, I noticed there one thing I rarely, almost never see here in the Italian part. Citruses. Yeah, I have to start paying attention to that, but I don't remember seeing a single citrus since I started walking in Italy. In Switzerland, I mean. But at least here is another avocado. And around it there are two shrubs which... Yeah, this thing between the palms could be a citrus too. The creeping fig is fruiting like crazy. Look at this lush creeping fig hedge. Wow, here someone is overdoing it on the palm trees. There must be like 60 or maybe more on this plot. And a lot of them are growing so close to the walls that I'm pretty sure they were not planted. They were just left alone when the other spontaneous vegetation was removed. And here we have a couple citruses. They're not even sure whether this one little thing up there could be a lychee. Interesting and unusual location for mulberries. At least I feel it's unusual at the water's edge. And look at this massive trout here. Alpine trouts, yeah? They're an expensive fish, but yeah, leave them be. They want to live their happy life in this beautiful lake. Here quite a mature eucalyptus tree growing in the nooks and crannies of the Alps. And the Isole Borromee, weren't there supposed to be two? Why do I see only one island from here? Passion flower growing there, looking a bit like Passiflora caerulea. And this cactus for sure is Opuntia ficus indica. Well, here is a nice sizable citrus tree in Switzerland. Looks like Citrus aurantium to me. 4 or 5 meters tall and hanging full of fruits. Nice. Look at this palm collection here. Jelly palm. Down here, Mexican fan palm, Washingtonia. So this is Washingtonia. This is, what was the name of the jelly palm? Well, jelly palm. Canary Island date palms. And what are those two lower ones between the Canary Island date palms? Are those king palms or queen palms? I've never seen anything of that type so far north. Interesting. What are those two palms among the 3 Canary Island date palms? Please tell me in the comments. They look to me a lot like, well, they look a lot like coconut trees, but they definitely are not. Those cannot survive here. But queen palm, king palm. Also, what was the name of this little palm with the erect inflorescences? And here are a couple more tiny phoenixes, probably Phoenix rebellanii growing in those pots. But those two palms here are the most interesting to me. Also, behind there, between the Himalaya palms, there is also some interesting palm growing. And also way there in the background, I'm not sure those are all Himalaya palms. I also used to know the name of this little palm growing and fruiting here in a very sheltered location. It's a little bit over 2 meters, but it's producing a lot of fruits, and They look pollinated, and I think they have enough time to ripen till autumn. Is this the next invasive? The palm here on the corner of the garage should be Eubea chilensis. This thing here is, what was this bluish one, Cocotrinax, or what was this name? And here again, a Phoenix, pretty sure Phoenix canariensis. Those can stand up to -5 degrees, so yeah. But the funny thing is I'm not seeing them so much around here. Also, what is this thing with the silverish leaves? Interesting. Somewhere here is a big fable for palms. And kumquats. I want kumquats. Here they are. So here is the palm I'm most interested in. King palm or queen palm? Look at that. There are two specimens. One is pretty big. Here you can see very well the leaves, the stem, no flowers and fruits, but yeah, growing here alone is already amazing. I'm 99% sure this is queen palm or king palm. Either Zyagros, probably Romanzophiana, or Roystonia regia. I would say rather Roystonia regia. Would be even better if it was queen palm, because queen palm has edible fruits. King palm does not have good fruits. I wouldn't have expected this here. Wow. So impressive. Remember, folks, we're in Switzerland, we're in the Alps mountains, and it's looking like the tropics. What is this cactus here? It looks a lot like Opuntia robusta, but a little bit smaller in every part than the Opuntia robusta I'm familiar with from the Mediterranean. But yeah, the clododes are roundish, the fruits are also pretty roundish. I would say this is either Opuntia robusta or a hybrid of it, tell me. Approaching the old people's home where a Swiss avocado variety originated. Let's hope we'll find it. Also the toxic oleander grows quite well along the lakes. Also here the panorama of the snowy Alps, however they are not as snowy as in my youth. Well, in the very background we can spot a couple patches of snow, but those peaks should have been white. The climate change is going much faster than we think. Like, I remember it was 20 years ago in the Alps. Our professor told us this pile of gravel here, like, I don't know how long ago it was, 2 years or 5 years ago, he said, this was still covered by the glacier, now it's open. I'm sure you will find only 2 species of flowering plants there. We went down there and we found 10. And he was so amazed. I mean, he had been working in nature conservation and on climate change for decades. He was stunned. The last trip when he was there, this was still ice, and a couple years later, there were already 10 different plants growing at the same spot. It's good if you can stun your professor with your results from time to time. Also here, another, well, this is quite a big old jelly palm. This must have been growing here for many decades. I mean, yeah, they are very frost hardy, but somebody brought it here a long time ago. Also here, an apricot. Up there, almost hidden between the Himalaya palms, but revealed through its immense size, is a cabbage palm, some sort of sabal. Also, folks, sorry, I know I'm not literally foraging, eating anything here, but I'm trying. It's not so easy. There is not really a lot of edible stuff hanging over the road or lying on the ground. Fuchsia magellanica, and if I'm not mistaken, yep, those are fruits lying on the ground. Where are the ripe fruits? Questo fiore, Fuchsia magellanica? Fuchsia. I frutti, sono maturi o no? Qui sono frutti. Questo si mangia?
No.
Sì, sì, è commestibile, sì. Un po' dolce?
Sì.
Questo non è maturo. No, questi non sono buoni. Molto piccante. No, questo non è una varietà commestibile. È una fucsia magellanica, però non è una varietà buona per mangiare.
Una vecchia.
È bellissima. Molti fiori, sì, una pianta bellissima.
L'anno passato io ho tagliato.
Ah, ok.
Perché con 2 anni senza acqua è terribile.
Oui, sì. Due anni senza acqua, però quest'anno molto acqua, sì?
Sì.
Molto bene.
Tanto.
Troppo acqua?
No, va.
Bene. Ok, grazie molto, ciao. Okay, unfortunately this was not the tastiest Fuchsia magellanica. I think it was oxalate, some needle-like things. First it was sweet, but then oxalated. There are some good Fuchsias. There's some good Fuchsia fruit and a lot of bad Fuchsia fruit. So this nice old lady told me that last year she had to cut it down because of 2 years of drought. This year it came back because of all the rain. I asked her if it's too much rain. She said, well, no, but it's enough. I think after 2 years of drought, for some time they will accept any amount of rain before they start complaining about it. Now everything is lush and green, but 2 years ago I was at Lago di Como and everything was considerably dry, and I think last year was the high point of the drought, and the vegetation really did not like it. Another lotus plum, so they are spreading here in Switzerland too. And despite those shiny leaves which look almost like they are evergreen, those are deciduous. Here another cactus. We might not have seen this yet this year. Some variety or hybrid of Opuntia ficus indica, I would say. Cacti here are not too common because usually it's not very dry. People plant them here and there, survive, but in most spots they are not really competitive. I think further east at Lago di Garda they might be much more competitive. Also here a big lotus plum. This is a feral one with thousands of fruits. Once the local foresters find out that this is an Ebenaceae, and that the hardwood of old trees is ebony black, because it is ebony, they're gonna start planting those things for timber. The wildlife is impressive. I guess those trouts are the top predator here. Maybe pikes live here if it's not too cold for them, but I don't think a pike of any size will go after such a trout. Yeah, nice to have the trout as top predator. And here, a close relative of the lotus plum is the kaki plum. They are not plums, and the fruits are still quite young. It will take them a couple more months to mature. Now what is this stuff? Seems to be a water power plant combined with the steepest funicular I've seen in my life. And up there a pipe crossing the valley. What is this? Is this for passengers? This is not a train, this is a roller coaster. Look at that, it looks almost vertical. I want to ride that. No access, no ticket booth. Tell me what this is, folks. This thing is freaking vertical. East Mediterranean laurel cherry, growing right next to Portuguese laurel cherry. Well, the East Mediterranean is kind of edible. The Portuguese laurel cherry is one of the most bitter cherries I've ever eaten. And I've eaten a lot. Also, the size and health of this agave is impressive. Finally, something forageable. Blackberry. Nah. Look at this bunch. There are at least 10 good edible ripe ones there. But I'm too short. Why am I such a shorty? Why am I not 10 feet tall? Here also, a sure confirmation that the bananas on the Italian side are Basio. What a pity. I mean, Luca's garden shows that you can grow so many bananas here and everybody's just going the boring Basio, which is not even edible. Two small invasive loquat shrubs, an evergreen fruit tree. I am at Residencia Hildebrand, but where is the big avocado? Where is this tree? A lot of evergreen things around here, but most of them seem to be comfort trees, not avocado. Beautiful park, but where is the avocado? Parts of the park are fenced off. Let's respect that. Don't even know if this thing is public. Didn't see any signs, so could it be this tree beyond the corner? Where am I here? This park is extensive, but I seem to be the only one enjoying it right now. Here is the avocado. Also here I think a young avocado is hiding behind all those camphors. Oh yeah, I saw this picture. A huge stump of a camphor tree and one young avocado planted in the hole. And around here are the suckers of the... What is this? A beautiful park and so big, but in an old people's home. How many of those old people can enjoy this? Almost nobody. So here is the giant camphor tree stump, a young avocado planted here, and lots of... Is it camphor? Oh yeah. Smells like tiger balm. A lot of camphor suckings. Beautiful mature tree. The stem is almost a foot across, or about 30 centimeters across. 6 meters tall, not as tall as the ones I saw near Ascona, about 8 kilometers or 6 kilometers north on the same shore. Also, the temperature is being monitored by some sort of scientific project. It's not looking too healthy. A lot of big branches are missing, a couple big twigs are dead, the leaves are very small and not so lush. Maybe it lacks something, I don't know what. Water, fertilizer, who knows. But still, it's been growing here for decades. Amazing. I made a video about it, you can watch it separately. Now, let's go. Or rather, let's leave the park alone and continue, because we still have... Oh, here is the gardener's house and here is the gardener's equipment. Now if I manage to find the gardener... Ciao! Mi scusa, una questione. Questo avocado, quanto anni? 50, 60? Wow, grazie molto. This guy says 50 to 60 years. I can hardly believe it. Well, okay, here they would grow slower than in warmer areas, because in winter basically the growth stops and they're in survival mode. 50 to 60 years, amazing. And it's producing fruits. Not bad. Yeah, always talk to gardeners, farmers and such people. You will always get some information. If you want to believe the information is a different question, but yeah, he didn't kick me out. He told me some important information about this avocado. Also here is citrus. They seem to be considerably more rare than a couple kilometers further south on the Italian side, but they do exist. Also, again, another opancha. those are, of course, there are countless clones, a lot of them nameless going around. You break one of one cladot, you plant it, and you have clones the plant. Here also a beautiful aloe, not one of the most common varieties. Beautiful park, a lot of camellias. Nice. Oops. Well, I guess exiting the clinic area is not forbidden, and I came in without any gate or anything, so I don't think I did anything wrong. I hope so. This is Switzerland, they are hyper correct, and if they wanted people to stay out, they would have put a gate. A nice good sized loquat tree, those do quite well here in the mild climate of Lago Maggiore. There is even one tree of that size in Germany, but in Germany it's an outlier. Here it's normal already. Beautiful bougainvillea growing here, a kiwi pergola, a Canary Island date palm, and here Mexican fan palm. And this thing, what is this thing? Well, this little one was probably planted, but this, it doesn't make sense here. It doesn't fit. Look, well, maybe it does. First they planted stuff at quite a decent distance, but then they planted a couple more palms between them. You will see why I'm looking so closely at it. You will see in a moment. Underneath those bushes, are a lot of seedlings. However, what type of seedlings? Are those all the invasive Himalaya palm? I think they might be. Let's look at them. They are very young, difficult to identify. There is a chance those could be seedlings from the Canary Island date palm. But for now, I will assume the more probable thing that they come from the really incredibly invasive Himalaya palm. Down there, underneath the date palm, the chance that they're from the date palm would have been higher. But here, we have a lot of Himalaya palms at the same distance, so I assume those are seedlings from the Himalaya palms. And this is not a Himalaya palm, neither is it a Mexican fan palm. This is some sort of cabbage palm, some sort of sabal. Interesting. The lungo lago, meaning along the lake, basically ends in the lake. However, it seems that everybody is okay with that, so this must be in order. Are you afraid to get wet? Everything is private. I have to go back all the way. Here another guy went overboard with the palm trees. Yes, I am. Especially since now my shoes are filled with little rocks. It seems that the timber brought by the lake here is really valued quite a lot. Somebody took it out and is drying it now, and then they're gonna bring it home. Yeah, I guess it's less work than going and cutting down trees in the forest. But there must be either some law, some rule, or some old custom here that you are allowed to take all the timber you want from the lake. I guess there is also some custom that you can get as wet as you want in the lake. Finally something forageable, but a huge carpenter bee beat me to eat. Well, every part of the black locust is poisonous. The timber, however, is of very good quality, and there is one part that's not poisonous, the flowers. The flowers can be eaten in considerable quantities. A bit sweet, a tad tart, with an interesting Fabaceae flavor. I read somewhere if you eat too much, you get the runs, but most plant foods will give you that. good stuff. The season has been over. The flowering season has been over for weeks, so those were a couple out of season flowers. Look at that. Somebody really is producing kiwis here. Hundreds now. Sorry, I'm taking everything back. Many thousands of fruits hanging on those vines. Somebody here is really taking great care of their kiwis. Every time I see a banana bunch, there is a glimmer of hope. But it's always the boring Basio. However, there is something interesting about this one. See those old leaves? The completely old and battered leaves and the young leaves? It shows that there was almost no frost here. A lot of wind, but in winter, even the peturas of the leaves survived. More Musa Basio. That's a very frost-hardy banana. Nowadays it grows even in Germany, in my part of Germany, without big protection. But yeah, around here they could grow so many more different bananas, and Musa Basio doesn't even have edible fruits. They could grow so many edible bananas. And yesterday I met Luca from Oasi Tropicale de Valcuvia, who is trying to grow at least 15 different bananas outdoors. Unfortunately, he is not on the shores of the Lago Maggiore. Here is at least 10 kilometers inland, where the climate is not so good, so some of his bananas are dying. The next year he is planting new ones, trying new methods. But imagine if somebody tried this here on the almost frost-free shores of the Lago Maggiore. Here more bananas, but yeah. But I cannot see the butts of the bananas, so I assume they are just Basio. But you could grow so many different bananas here. Also here chestnuts. This used to be a staple of the mountain people around here. They did not have many wheat and corn fields. The replacement for wheat and corn was the chestnut, used in porridges, breads, cakes, and also eaten roasted, cooked in soups, in stews, stuffed into animals, and so on. Bananas. Well, same thing like on the Italian side. A lot of those invasive Himalaya palms everywhere. The silverberry is also invasive here. Also tons of invasive bamboo over there. Ligustrum lucidum is the shrub with the with those yellowish whitish flowers, an evergreen shrub or tree, also invasive. Budleia, the stuff with the purple flowers, also invasive. Here Paulovnia, invasive, of course. Ailanthus, everywhere invasive. Yeah, black nightshade here invasive. Cherry plum, the purple leaf variety, also invasive. Yeah, this area basically people, a lot of nature conservationists have given up on the natural plant communities of the shores of the alpine lakes. They are probably going to be completely replaced, or at least 80-90% replaced by invasive plants. Beautiful park, and they have kumquats. See this Canary Island date palm here? It has numerous inflorescences. Now, let's look at them more closely. And there are green dates hanging on some of them. So this thing is not only growing here, it is producing fruits. They are of such a size that they must be pollinated. Okay, let's see if we find some of them. Yeah, we find a lot of them on the ground. So many that some animal, probably a bird, was up there. So, okay, with this size, definitely pollinated. Here is the seed. Definitely pollinated. Well developed young seed. Now, I see old inflorescences, but I don't see ripe fruits. And the ones on the ground are, even the brown ones are just rotten. Well, so we have the palm grows here, the palm flowers. The flowers are pollinated in the palm fruits. The fruits, well, at least the unripe ones have well-developed seeds as far as we can say. The next question is, do they ripen here? And the next one is, do they manage to germinate? And the next one is, do the young plants manage to establish themselves? Here, it's very hard to keep such a spot tidy. There are a lot of weeds here. I mean, keeping the stuff in the water tidy is easy, keeping the lawn tidy is easy. But if you want to find escaped little fruits, it's here. Because then this would be another candidate for an invasive species in Switzerland. Actually, if they were well developed and ripe and able to germinate, I would really expect a couple young Canary Island date palms popping up here and there. Especially here, this is right underneath the tree. But no, I cannot see anything. But still, this is quite amazing that this happens here in Switzerland, in the valleys of the Alps, at the same geographical latitude as southern Canada, and not even on the Mediterranean Sea. Another nice big camphor tree, 160 or about 2 feet in diameter, 5 feet in diameter, maybe even 6 feet or 180. Difficult to say among the dense vegetation, and there is a fence. Beautiful old tree, and look at that, a bunch of palms growing as epiphytes on top of the camphor tree. Have you ever seen that? Always one big trout, never more. Taking Canero, I still haven't found the local citron. Remember the citron lemon hybrid, which was probably developed in this little town in the Alps in the 16th century, and which is really resisted to cold. There is a couple lemons, but no, the thing I'm looking for was more orange on most pictures. Here are some good sized citruses. Yeah, here in the Italian part there are definitely more and bigger citrus plants. Over there a lemon, and look at this beautiful big kumquat tree. I want those. And another citrus. Yeah, definitely much more common than on the Swiss side. And here some other citruses in the background. Yes, on the Swiss side you had to look for citruses, and usually they were pretty young trees. Here a lot more, considerably older. Well, Riviera Canero is kind of famous for its subtropical stuff. I wonder if they plant most of the citruses here to kind of play into this cliche, or if they are really a traditional sustenance or cash crop here in this area. And what's growing in this citrus on a parking lot? Look at that. Could this be the local citron, or are those just those things which are called bitter oranges but actually sour? Let's see, has anything dropped to the ground? No, unfortunately not a single fruit on the ground. Yeah, I would say this is just the bitter orange Citrus aurantium, although they look quite similar to this local citron. More kumquats, I want them. Lemon tree, European dwarf palm. This is the only palm native to the European continent. Everything else has been brought here, mostly as ornamentals. And here again, another Canary Island palm fruiting. And underneath it. 1, 2, 3 seedlings. Let's see. Well, I would say I don't think. Well, could this be a seed from the Canary Island palm? Those fruits are very small. Could this be one of those seeds, or is it a seed of a Himalaya palm? You can still see the result of the drought. More dead trees than usual. Here, another citrus, no fruits. And what is this? No, this is a magnolia. Wanted to say this is the strangest looking citrus I've ever seen, but it's a magnolia. Well, their local citron lemon thing does look a lot like bitter orange, but yeah, the bitter orange has so many different varieties. How can you tell? If there was something on the ground and they opened it, I could maybe tell, but robbing a posh restaurant. Parco degli Agrumi, and I have, 20 minutes until my ship goes. There is a park of the citruses. I have to go there. The roadside trees, the roadside citrus trees are quite big, but no, I want a citrus park. Where is the citrus park? It's far away. I'm low on everything, including time, battery, and especially storage. I have to run. Not that they don't have interesting stuff here. This is some solanum bush, some pepper relative fruiting here. Oh my, why don't I have more time? Oh well, there is a solution for that at least. It's hot, so hot. Here we have a fruiting Canary Island date palm on the beach of Canarone. It seems like it's ripe. Also, it's a little bit strange. The fruits are very red and the ripe ones are black. While in the Canary Island date palm, usually they are more a bit on the yellowish, brownish side. I wonder if this is some sort of hybrid. They don't taste bad. Unfortunately, most of them have been flattened by the public. But yeah, edible dates in the valleys of the Alps. I must say the Riviera Park here is also mind-blowing, really beautiful. Canary Island palms, a lot of other. This should be a Eubea chilensis. Don't even know what those whitish ones are. Citruses. Other fruit is here in the background, a big citrus fruiting profusely. Beautiful. Okay, I put away the phone and they'll think that I film them. The tank is back, the tank is back. And last but not least, a bunch of tasty calamansi in pots.